Grand Rising. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of the Female Solution Global Broadcast. I'm Naima Latif, and I'm excited to bring you today's guest, a candidate for Congress, an African American female, a Republican, a Trump supporter. We want you to meet P. Ray, who believes that this administration's agenda is better for America. And you may be surprised at some of the points that you agree with, but we want you to listen and we invite you to call in and comment. 727-731-5192. We do want to hear from you. Feel free to write in comments because it's time for us to think and reason and make sense of where we're going as a nation. We'll be right back after this.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Yes, this is the Female Solution, and I'm your Wednesday morning host, Naima Latif. And one of the reasons why we want to take a look at both sides of the fence today is because so often we get caught up in name calling and fear. If you're so focused on the power of someone else, you fail to recognize your own power. You fail to recognize what you could be doing that can alleviate the problem, as long as you're pointing fingers at someone else as the cause of the problem. We are powerful beings, and yet much of the nation is in fear regarding what they believe is the Republican agenda to, as some people have said, take us back to slavery. Well, in fact, no one can take advantage of you without your consent, without your not taking responsibility for your own life. And there are many things that we can do as a people and as a nation. And there are things that we have done, some that need to be redone, some that need to be undone, and some that need to be done differently altogether. Well, our guest this morning believes strongly in the Republican agenda. She's a candidate for Congress in the seventh Congressional District, the seat being vacated by our own dear Danny K. Davis, and a seat that's been held by Democrats for, of course, decades. But now that the nation is seemingly at a crossroads of division, we're looking at different voices and who can take us forward. So let us welcome to the front and center stage, candidate for Congress, meet P. Ray, a pro-Trump Black female Republican candidate making a bid for Congress. Grand Rising, beautiful lady. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. And it was interesting as I watched the State of the Union address last night. I don't think I've ever seen during any other administration the extreme division in terms of the response to comments made by the president. There might have been less enthusiasm from the other party, but this is the first time in this administration that I've seen where all of the Democrats very markedly sat stony-faced during moments of applause, no approval at all. Some had even boycotted the State of the Union address. And so this is probably the most polarized I've ever seen America, other than the time of the Civil War. And so here you are running for Congress for the Republican Party. First, let me ask you, give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then what led you to decide to seek public office?
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Patricia Ray Easley. I am from the west side of Chicago, the Austin community. My name is Patricia Ray because my father's name's Ray. My mother's name is Patricia. I'm their first child that they had on their fifth wedding anniversary, so I'm Patricia Ray. However, my mother, Patricia, does not want her name mixed up in my Republican politics, so therefore I go by P. Ray. I'm a graduate of Whitney Young Magnet High School, where I went for 7th through 12th grade. I then went to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, the better HU, on a full academic scholarship where I earned a degree in finance. From there, I moved to sunny West Africa in Senegal in 2010 as a founding teacher of Ikra Bilingual Academy. Our school currently has 1,000 students from 35 nationalities. We cater to the children of Islamic diplomats, ambassadors, West African heads of state, and business people in the capital city of Dakar. We are the first and only bilingual international Islamic school with American accreditation on the continent. So our children have American high school diplomas, and it makes it easier for them to travel. From there, I came back to the States in 2011 and became an educator. I worked in several Chicago alternative high schools under the Prologue Charter, and then I moved on to become an adjunct for international professionals who are here in our country to learn English. So that gave me access to the international level. Excuse me, my eyes are watering. The international levels. From an academic perspective. From there, I became an investment advisor at Merrill Lynch, and I was there for 7 years, and that also built my platform as well. And so I got into the political world. I've been here since I was 12 years old, working directly in Congressman Davis's office as a volunteer intern. At that time, the Congressional Black Caucus had an initiative called WOW, with ownership wealth. And the goal was to increase Black home ownership by 1 million between 2000 and 2010. In 2005, when I graduated from high school, I had 500 service hours from specifically working on this initiative. So federal housing is what I know best because I learned it from the congressman himself and his staff. I don't know why these eyes are watering so early. Sorry, ma'am, this happens. It's the big eyeballs. I digress. So from there, I was kind of disgusted with politics, especially during the subprime crisis. The market crashed on July 18th, 2008, and I was on Wall Street in New York when it happened. So I saw all of the work that I had been doing in the congressman's office literally go up in a puff of smoke because the market crashed and we know that our people lost their homes. But what did it for me, ma'am, is when they put the red X's on the building and start tearing them down because there was nothing wrong with these buildings structurally. And so now I'm watching my work be demolished. This is why we had the school closings. It has nothing to do with the racial thing. I mean, I guess it does on the banking side. However, the reason that the schools closed is because they tore down the multifamily housing. So if you don't have housing, you don't have children, you have empty classrooms, you have to close the schools. So they forced us to focus on the schools and not the fact that our neighborhoods were being demolished. I personally was disgusted by all of this. And so I moved back to sunny Senegal in 2016 with my then 4-year-old to go into political exile. I had to boycott Barack Obama. I had to boycott Rahm Emanuel because they were playing with us in our faces while dancing and singing Al Green. I was just flabbergasted. Aside from the fact that the Obamacare structure stated that if you have more than 30 hours on any employer schedule, they are mandated to give you health insurance. So as an adjunct, I had to work at several institutions because I could not get more than a 29.5 hour schedule. I said, I'm not doing this. This is too much. I'll just take the foreign income tax exclusion. And we moved out of the country. I put my child in my school. She's now a freshman at Whitney Young. She's in honors French 4 because she went to an international school when she was little. So this is what I do. When I came back to the States after the administration's changed, I saw a blog that said Sunken Place Coon Festival. And I'm like, what is this? So I clicked it and I saw Ben Carson's picture. I said, whatever this is, I got to go because I have to have a conversation with Dr. Ben Carson. From there, I applied. About 3 days later, I got an email that stated, the President of the United States requests your presence in the East Room. Please come. And I'm like, whoa. So I go, walk right into Dr. Carson in the White House. Dr. Carson, my name is Patricia. I'm from Chicago. This administration talks too much trash about my city. It needs to stop. We're dealing with federal housing mismanagement. And you, sir, are the HUD secretary. If you can force the city of Chicago to spend the then $1 billion that they've been hoarding for 25 years, we can take care of ourselves. We're the children of the Mississippi cotton pickers. Nobody's stronger than us. Nobody's tougher than us. Nobody will outwork us. You do your part and we'll do our part. He's like, whoa, I know women like you from Detroit. Man, you came in here and, just got me told. But then he told me about the aldermanic prerogative and how the aldermen were actually the barrier to putting the shovels in the ground because they were vetoing any developments that they did not want in their ward, which then exacerbates housing segregation and housing discrimination. They were going to get rid of that. From there, ma'am, President Donald Trump got on the stage and gave the best pro-Black speech I've ever heard in my life. Okay. And I say this as someone who grew up in a household that woke up to WVON and went to sleep to WVON. We did not clean up to Anita Baker. We cleaned up to Operation Push and Louis Farrakhan and Marcus Garvey tapes that my daddy used to pick up down there on Maxwell Street, right? So this is a super pro-Black world. I went to a Catholic school with Jesus with an afro on the cross. Okay. Jesus always been a Black. But Donald Trump gave the best pro-Black speech I've ever heard in my life. And so I said, you know what? I got to move this agenda forward because it's a patriotic conversation when it comes to the Negro. And that's P-Ray in a nutshell.
Wow. Well, you heard it right here on the Female Solution, people. And I want people to really listen and not just be so tunnel vision with Democrats good, Republicans bad.
Correct.
Because that's what's happening, and we're not listening. We're not listening to economic agendas that are different. And some things that we've been going along with have obviously been hurtful because look at the state of our community.
Look around.
Look around. Look at what's happening. So and we've got some comments here. Woo, okay. All right. Asada, our Tuesday host says, wow, I took my students to learn in Senegal, working in the alternative high school system as well back in the 90s. Yes, so she understands the experience.
Negative, summer wine.
And she says, you rock that nutshell, sister.
Thank you.
Well, I think that if we listen and use our intelligence, we can look at policies that might have seemed benevolent, but were actually crippling. So,
correct.
How would you describe, we got to take a break in a few minutes, but how do you describe the difference between the Republican economic view and the Democrat economic view? Let's
start with the Democrat because that's what we're most familiar with. I want everybody to remember in this conversation that the Democratic Party is the party of the Confederacy, okay? That's the party that waged war against the United States of America to keep our ancestors enslaved. They believe that Negroes, and I say Negro instead of African American, because that's what ties us to the land as non-immigrants. They
Mhm.
believe that Negroes are a charity case. And they believe that they're supposed to give us whatever we need to keep us docile and meek. They don't believe, they believe in giving us something to eat rather than teaching us how to eat. The Republican Party is going to make you stand on your own feet. They're going to tell you that this is America. They're going to tell you the resources and how to take advantage of this country because nobody owes you anything. My family is from Chula, Mississippi, in Holmes County. The poorest state in the poorest town in the poorest state in the United States of America. My grandmother always told me we didn't leave Mississippi to come up here and beg. We didn't come up here with our hand out. We came to work. So I believe that many of us have those same sentiments or that same foundational work ethic. And I believe that we were tricked into joining the Democratic Party through the violence of the Chicago machine. And that's the difference. When our people were Republicans pre 1965, you could see that the Black communities in this country were thriving. The North Lawndale community was the richest Black community in America when this was a Republican stronghold. When we became Democrats and African Americans, that's when our decline began to happen because we believed that our government had a duty to take care of us, and many of us stopped taking care of ourselves.
Ooh, there it is in a nutshell. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we want to take your comments, take your calls, and we want you to pay attention because
Yes.
why are we choosing to be dependent in 2026? Let's come right back after this quick break. We're going to greet our global family and hear from some of our hosts, and we'll be right back. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom.
In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
And we are back. And if you missed that first part, you're going to need to rewind that tape and hear from our dear sister who is running for the second. She's running for Congress in the 7th Congressional District. I keep saying second because that's where I am. But no, actually, I'm now in the 1st. But there are many candidates who are seeking your vote. And in an area that has been historically Democrat, now we have a very strong Republican voice who happens to be a female and is very strong in her position as a Republican. So you've given us some history that I think many people are unaware of when it comes to when we made that shift from Black people supporting the Republican Party to Black people supporting the Democratic Party. But
Yes.
the psychological thing is what we have to take a look at. When people have historically seen you as childlike people who need to be taken care of, and you're constantly being put in a position of destabilization and dependency, that's not helpful. So my question is, why were Black people choosing the dependency of the welfare mentality
We
and
didn't choose
seeing
it.
it as a necessity? So now you mentioned the buildings and the tearing down of the communities. What is the Republican agenda for economic development as opposed to the Democratic agenda when it comes to revitalizing the communities and many of those neighborhoods that were built around the welfare system, the impoverization of people and the dependency? What would you say is the
So when I spoke to Dr. Carson, he because my mentality was CHA needs to rebuild the buildings, build the buildings back up, bring the people back home, so we can get our voting base back strong. He said, Patricia, yes, that makes sense, but we have to move past the Federal Housing Act has multiple sections, okay? And so we focus, or the Democrats have made us focus on Section 8 because that is the housing subsidy. However, Section 3 is about entrepreneurship. They want to focus more on the Section 3 portion. Section 3 states that those who are qualified for public housing should have first dibs at the work that's associated with that. That could be the painting, the cutting the grass, shoveling the snow. All of those are federal jobs. And the city of Chicago has been very lax about giving out those Section 3 contracts. The Republicans are focused on Section 3 and not Section 8. They are also focused on moving people from Section 8 into home ownership. This is codified in the Housing Act. So how it's supposed to work is that you're supposed to live in Section 8 housing. Then they give you counseling, they help you build your credit, and then you're able to actually purchase that unit or purchase a home through HUD and the Federal Housing Act. That's what the Republican Party is focused on. The Democrats were focused on these ghettos in the sky that they failed to maintain because the Chicago housing projects were demolished, not because they were dangerous. They were demolished because they had deteriorated so much and it became a health and safety hazard. And that was done by the Democratic Party. They just want to corral you. They don't tell you how to become better because the Democratic Party does not believe in capitalism, it believes in socialism. And that socialism tells you that it's okay, you don't have to try hard, I'm going to take care of you. But then it goes a step further that now our community has become a social service economy. So everybody has a organization, everybody's trying to get a grant, but then those grants are controlled by Democrats who are politicians, and then those become invisible line items in Democrats campaigns. So you can see now we have a campaign going. People are done with the Democrats in a little bit, whatever. J.B. Pritzker just rolled out $153 million of anti-violence money. So now I'm fighting against a $153 million economy that just sprung out the ground. So that's what I mean. They don't care about the capitalism of this at all. That's why our taxes are so high right now. Because if you look, if like I live on the west side, Chicago Avenue is empty. Madison is empty. Roosevelt Road is empty. 16th Street is empty. So if we do not have that commercial tax base to pay their portion of the levy, that levy gets pushed on to the homeowners. And that's why North Lawndale went up the most. That's why Inglewood went up the most. Because not only do they have a bunch of non-for-profits and churches, but they also have a bunch of vacant lots. And those people who live in these communities, those lots are not producing their portion of the tax levy. So then that gets pushed on to the homeowner as well. So this is continuous Democrat failure of their inability to properly form an economic system that's self-supporting.
Well, that totally makes sense. Now, I do remember that as the Great Migration happened and people were coming from the South and the North, the desire, and I don't know if it was because of fears of racial integration, the desire was to contain and control the spread of the Black population. So these tall buildings were designed to keep people in a very small area. And as you said, at over time, it became a hazardous situation. The buildings were not well maintained. They became unsafe. And so the whole system of containing people into the projects dissolved into a big mess. And there was not a vision of or a plan to move people out of public housing into home ownership, which would have helped the tax base. So
But
we have
ma'am,
to
it happens. That happened. So I'll say this. The best thing to ever happen to my family, mine, in this city was when the Chicago Housing Authority came to the Booker family, that's my mother's family, and told them that they had to move out of Rockwell Gardens in 1964 because they had two working adults. I currently live in the house that they went and bought. Because my grandmother said again, we didn't come up here to beg. We didn't come up here for y'all free house. So if y'all say that we can't stay together, we out. And they left and they moved from Rockwell Gardens to the North Lawndale community. And then they bought a home in Austin in 72 that we still live in 53 years later. So, I just think that the mentality that the Democratic Party pushed on our people was extremely harmful. The projects themselves were not the issue. It was the fact that they allowed people to sit in there and socially and intellectually rot. That was the problem, and that was the goal. However, now we have a housing list of 120,000 American families who have been waiting for 25 years for the city to fulfill a promise that they made to them. Okay, the CHA has $1.8 billion right now that they're hoarding. And so that's why I'm running, because I want to put CHA back under federal receivership so that we can put those shovels in the ground. And then we're going to take it one step further and we're going to bring in the Army Corps of Engineers. They're going to oversee the labor and train those Section 3 and local contractors. And that way we have jobs, we have entrepreneurship, we have the Army, so it's going to be on schedule and it's going to be done quickly. And that way we can get around all of this Chicago bureaucracy that has left our people waiting for 2 decades.
That makes a lot of sense. And it looks like my sister is greeting you in the Senegalese
Yes, he
language.
said, Mangi Firek, John
Mangi
Marek.
Yeah, see that's why we do the global languages, because we got to talk to each other across continent. And she also says, Asada says, my grandfather used to be a Republican. And a lot of people remember when the Republican Party was the party. It shifted after the New Deal with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. But again, as you said, the thrust was charity, and the government
And
needs to take care of
the terrorism of the machine. That's what we don't discuss. So my
it.
father graduated from NIU with a degree in history. So every day of my life was a history lesson. When I say every day, y'all, every day. The Civil War, the Revolutionary War, World War II, Chicago politics, geopolitics. That's all we talked about, okay? And then the Bible, because we stayed at church. So one day I said to him, Daddy, you explained all this to me. you know what? We gonna be Republicans. We ain't gonna be no Democrats no more because they don't like us. He said, shut your mouth, Ray. Don't you ever say that again. Do you know that in this town, if they know that you're a Republican, they will stop shoveling your snow. They will stop picking up your trash, and they'll send somebody to slap you in your face. Don't you ever say that again. Don't you ever pull no Republican ballot in no primary, because you will mess yourself up in this town. This was a grown man. This is the toughest man I ever met, okay? I tell everybody, the only person I'm ever scared of is in Oak Ridge Cemetery, okay? So for him to be like, no, don't say that. I'm like, whoa, what happened? So then I'm speaking to my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and she told me when they came here from Mississippi, she and my grandfather were like 16 and 20, and so he had to get himself a driver's license. He told people, I'm gonna be driving in Chicago. So they didn't know what to do, and the committeemen from their area came to their home and said, okay, Willie, I can help you with a license, but you gotta give me $10. $5 for your license and $5 for the Democratic organization. Then once you become a member, I can give you a license. So now my granddaddy can't get no license because he got to play with the Democratic Party. And this became standardized, which is why we have the Shackman decree, or had it. Shackman, Shakman. Look that up. That was a federal decree that was put on the city of Chicago in 1973 to force them to stop using politics as a way to give people government jobs. And they got rid of that in 2022. So this has been a problem, y'all. And that's why I'm telling everybody, we free. This is not the Irish mob anymore. These are the dweebs from high school, okay? Like, these are the same kids. Huh?
I remember because my father worked at the post office, and he had the same situation. And because my family, same thing, talked politics all the time. And we understood that there were times when if you were not politically connected, your job was affected. And so we went through that. We're going to take another quick break and come right back. And when we come back, we're going to show a little bit of the State of the Union address from last night and get our guests' reaction. And we want more of your reactions. We've got some more comments here we're going to bring up, and we appreciate you all. Feel free to write in your comments, call in and comment, 727-731-5192, because we want to hear from you. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment with P. Ray after this. So stay with us.
Brother, in which we're doing this documentary for Douglas Robinson, your death will not be in vain.
He was a heck of a great dude. And I love Doug. Doug loved me.
Just being around him, he had a good spirit. He was a healing person.
They are there.
Get SROs back.
When you give to the poor,
should not be forced out of their neighborhoods when it goes through a period of transformation.
Because there are too many people who are losing their homes to taxes because they can't pay a $1,000 tax bill.
And we are back. You're watching the Female Solution Global broadcast. I'm Naima Latif, and our guest today is a Republican candidate for the 7th Congressional District, P. Ray. And she is, in a very powerful voice, making some observations about how we have been adversely affected by Democratic policies and disempowered. So let's take a look at some of the things
I can't
that,
hear you.
okay, you may need to go out and come back in
Ma'am,
again.
I can't hear you.
Okay, go out and come back.
Okay.
Yes. And in the meantime, we're going to take a look at of course, if you didn't see last night's State of the Union, and again, and you know, one of the things that has happened when we see these State of the Union addresses, I have never in any other administration seen this happen. And we're going to take a look at, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. You know, people
Okay.
just call you, put your phone on do not disturb, and they think that means call you twice.
Yeah,
So.
and that right, and that could perhaps knock out the sound. So what we're gonna do is take a quick look at a portion of last night's State of the Union address and get your response. And I just found it fascinating the way that the Democrats responded. It was really kind of
uncalled for. It was completely uncalled for.
Yeah, I would say that it was definitely tacky, but that's been what has been happening. So let's just take a look. Okay, yeah, you got all these people standing stony face.
After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest, most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country.
Okay, now this is an issue that many are in either misunderstanding or disagreement or whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of fear surrounding the immigration question and those who have been removed. What is your thought about ICE, its activities, the perspective of the president about what he calls illegal aliens and their removal?
That's what they're called.
And how is America safer? Are there people who came here, drug agendas, drug selling agendas? What is that situation in your eyes? How do you see his position on that?
So we, on Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I used to have a show on WVON for a couple of years. And we called ICE live on the air and pressed 0 until we got somebody on the phone. And that was in 2023 in response to an interview that I did with General Michael Flynn, who was the National Security Advisor under President Trump and the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency under President Obama. He stated that the narco terrorists were in our community, narco terrorists, also known as the cartel, was in our community laundering its money through the real estate market. What? Again, because I do housing. So I was noticing that the neighborhood was shifting very quickly. And I'm like, how are these people getting all this money to buy these houses? The cartel, friends, heroin money. And so we live on the west side. I-290 flows through the community that's also known as the heroin highway. They're selling $2 billion worth of heroin a year down I-290, which again now becomes an economy. And so what that looks like for us is leaning, rocking, overdosing, drug pass out lines, shooting, killing, robbing, stealing, whatever you want to say, happens to a narco town. That's what happened to us. So that's why we initially started calling ICE, okay? Because Time magazine wrote a long expose about why El Chapo chose the west side of Chicago, where I'm sitting right now, as the headquarters for the cartel, for 3 distinct reasons. One, all roads in America lead to the 7th Congressional District, which is the loop. All roads loop in and go back out. We got all railways that meet up over there on the south end of the district in Inglewood. We also have high Black male unemployment and the fact that we are a sanctuary city. So they understand that even if they get picked up, they will not be deported because our laws shield them from that. So now we've become a bastion of narco terrorism. And so we were, and then we were invaded by the Venezuelans. And that brought a whole cadre of issues when it comes to housing, when it comes to safety, security. They were shooting people, robbing people, raping women, you name it. It was happening on the south and west sides of Chicago. And it even got to the north side because up there in Evanston, they found it illegal, was kicking in doors and raping women. So we know that this was off the chain. So when we were successful in bringing ICE to this city, you can see that when they came to the Black communities, there were no problems. I actually believe that the president sent ICE to the west side for my birthday. My birthday's October 2nd. On October 3rd, we have a Walmart up in Austin, like on the border between Austin and Humboldt Park.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back. I'm sorry. Like I said, you have do not disturb and they call you twice. Sorry about that. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
So, yes. So we, they came to Walmart in my neighborhood on October 3rd, and Christy Nome came with them. So I'm like, Mr. President, you sent them here for my birthday. Happy birthday, P-Ray. But when they got here, there was no hollering, no screaming, no whistles, no any of that. We also know that when Greg Bovino, who is the border commander, he came on 16th and Lawndale and stated that that was the best day he had ever had at work because Black people from the North Lawndale community came outside, high-fived them, picked them up, spit them in the circle, fed them, loved them, like, man, we so happy y'all here. We are so happy. We've been waiting on y'all. We forget that in 1853, before the end of slavery, Frederick Douglass was talking about how immigration had a desperate impact on Black wages in this country. Okay, so if we were talking about that before the end of slavery, why are we having this conversation 173 years later? So I stand with ICE. I support ICE. I tell people to call ICE. 866-DHS2-ICE. 866-DHS2-ICE. 866-347-2423. See something and say something today because the life you save might be your own. So when we have all of these people out here who are saying we should be fighting ICE, Black people, why y'all not outside? That's not our fight. That's not our business. ICE not coming to get us. And ICE is a friend of the Negro. Fighting against ICE makes you a Negrophobe. That's the most Negrophobic action that you can do in the United States of America is to fight against immigration control. So I stand with that. I support that. completely. There are no laws that Negroes get to break. What federal laws do we have sanctuary against? You break a federal law, you going to jail. If they catch you on Madison selling cigarettes with a Missouri label on it, you going to the MCC because it's a federal crime to sell out-of-state cigarettes in Illinois or throughout the country.
Yeah,
So you going to
right.
federal jail for that. The square man going to jail, but you can break in the United States
Mm.
of America and get protected? No, we can't
Mm.
have that. We cannot afford that. And therefore, they gotta go. I feel nothing about that because Black people need that money. The Chicago Public Schools spent a plethora of money on them while we have a system that only produces 8% literacy for Black boys. We have a city that spent $653 million on them when we got potholes and all type of problems. We got flooding going on. They could have put that money in infrastructure. Instead, they gave it to people who have not paid a dime. We have the state of Illinois who gave them $2 billion of health care. How? And our people are wrestling with referrals. See, I love us too much. My self-esteem is too high for me to give any of my social or political capital to the third world. My flag, the flag of my ancestors, is red, white, and blue. That's where my people buried at. So I stand with the U.S. government as pertains to protecting our borders.
Well, there you have it. We got some
I can't
comments
hear
here.
you again, ma'am. Oh no.
Well,
Give me
go
a
out.
moment. Okay. Sorry about this.
And we'll take a few comments. Viata, my girl Viata says, sounds like the Dems have been a party of extortion. Well, we got to think about that. We really got to think about what has happened and who has received benefits and who has not. And not just blindly Democrats good, Republicans bad, because how are we experiencing the economic growth of America? Are we being able to participate in it under the Democrats and their policies, or are we not? And what has been the history? And Viata says, the Dems were childish to say the least. That's why we all should focus in walking in peace to create peace within first. Yeah, I'm looking at that response there. The division, is that helpful? And Asada says, this sister's confidence speaks volumes. That is stronger than any party reputation. In Scientology, we say intention is senior to communication. Her intention feels strong and clear. So you got it. You got an amen corner up here. And look at what she's saying. Look at the power of what she's saying.
Thank
so
you.
It makes sense. And we have to look at what makes sense.
Yeah.
The reality is, and a lot of people are seeing, first of all, the international drug business. It is a business. Who is being allowed to conduct that business, and who is it hurting? Are we seeing? And so you've made some very powerful points when it comes to those who have been allowed to come in and take advantage of the economy who are not paying. Those are some realities. And Viata says, so proud of you to stand with courage and work to educate and make changes. Yes.
Thank you.
And move around Deborah. Our third Saturday host says, great day, ladies. Yes.
Great day.
They're weighing in, and my girl Zelda says neither party represents us, just pretending to. Results speak for itself. So let's take a look at that for a minute, because, and I apologize for technical issues with my sound.
No, it's me. I'm telling you, people, my phone is blowing up. People act like I'm not doing anything right now. I don't know why they calling me. It's when I get off this call, oh Lord, I got like 6 calls while we sit here. So it's okay. It's me.
And you know how people are. I mean, they'll know you're on. You're actually talking on the show, and then they'll call your phone anyway. Like it's duh. But But now Zelda says something that a lot of people are feeling, just seeing the division. A lot of people feeling like, look, we being played by both sides, used by both sides. I don't believe in either one. What would you say to a voter that has gotten to that point where they just do not trust government at all because we have been pawns and used from all sides in the history of this nation?
Yes, ma'am. I would tell them that the white Republican boogeyman didn't do this to you. Your lieutenant governor is a black woman. The president of Cook County is a black woman. The mayor of Chicago is a black man. The president of the Senate in Springfield is a black woman. The speaker of the House in Springfield is a black man. The water reclamation president is a black woman. Illinois has the most black elected officials of any state in America. So any governmental issue you have was done to you by a black Democrat, an African American Democrat. Again, because I call myself Negro. But they're the ones who did this to you. The white Republican boogeyman did not tear down the projects and hoard the money. The white Republican boogeyman did not come and put red X's on multifamily buildings in your community and left empty vacant lots on the corner, which closed the schools. The white Republican boogeyman did not close the tunnels during NASCAR and push all that water to the west side of Chicago. It was so much water over here, ma'am. It was shooting out the sewers, okay? The sewer cap had popped up and there was water everywhere, okay? I've never seen anything like that. But when I went downtown to Midway Broadcasting to do my show, there was no water on the ground, but the expressway was flooded. The white Republican boogeyman didn't do that. See, I'm very clear about who our enemy is. When you are trying to fight a war, the first thing you got to do is identify the enemy. And our enemy in Black Chicago is the Cook County Democratic Party. They're the ones who did this to us. So when we say that both parties are doing something, no, ma'am, both parties didn't do this to us. We have had consistent Democrat leadership at least my entire life. So I'm just done with them. That's why I say put your gym shoes on, tie them up real tight, because we running to the right. We done with this. Now, if you want to stay where you at, that's fine. Because we need people on both sides eating potato salad with raisins in it, okay? Go eat your potato salad and raisins. However, we gonna come together and we gonna feast off dressing, greens, and turkey wings, okay? So everybody do your part on your side, and let's come together and make this work. But I'm not gonna convince somebody that the boogeyman is real. I'm not going to convince somebody to see the enemy for who and what it is. But this Democratic Party, again, has historically, pre-emancipation, hated us. And they have been very consistent. The most dangerous era for Black people in this country was the Progressive era, which was post Reconstruction. That was the KKK. Wow. That was burning down houses. That was Red Summer. All of that. It's very important to realize that Red Summer mess was perpetuated by European immigrants against natural-born Negroes, because the Democratic Party had infected them with those Confederate mentalities and told them that those Negroes don't deserve to live better than you. Go destroy them, to continue their campaigns of terror against the Negro that they started during the Civil War. We're dealing with Civil War mismanagement. So that's why I said I got to get away from the Confederacy. The Confederacy, the one that tried to keep my people on the fields down in Mississippi. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. My 4-time great-grandfather is a founder of Mount Bayou, Mississippi, okay? That's the first Black incorporated town in the state of Mississippi. They were doing good until the white Republicans showed up. I mean, the white Democrats showed up, excuse me. Until the white Democrats showed up, they were fine. And it's also important to remember that not only were these white Democrats lynching Negroes, but they were also lynching white Republicans. This is a war. These are battles of the Civil War that keep going. And now the Civil War is being fought against the Negro by African Americans. Get away from these people.
Well, Deborah says, I say down with the party separation. You are speaking facts, P. Ray. Well, it is what it is. We got to take one last break, and we're going to come right back. We're going to look at some of these facts. And what should we be doing strategically so that we are empowering ourselves and making the right choices that make sense. So we'll be right back. We want you to stick and stay. We got a caller on the line. We're going to take the caller and take some more of your comments. We'll be right back. So we want you to stay with us.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Yes, we are ascending. Now, how do we ascend and what strategies do we use? We've got a caller on the line. Caller at 773-379. Give us your name and where you're calling from and your question or comment for our guest. Yes. Mr. Nelson, I believe one of your fellow Republicans on the line. Go right ahead with your question or comment.
I heard you said P-Ray. I
That's
know
correct.
her. She's a soul. And what you see is society has come power when they divvy up the money goes to Republicans on the 16th floor. I'm Illinois' next Republican lieutenant governor, sort of alongside Darren Bailey, who ran for governor in 2022 and is going to replace that Governor David Christie. And I have a concept derived from chemical, but the most fun. I'm more like Muhammad spoke of a state or territory of our own. Governments so far as looked at Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, these are states. But Chicago, territory, Illinois Republic is a U.S. territory, which President Donald Trump is going to facilitate. And by the way, he's going to get a third term.
Okay, Andrew, we only got a couple of minutes left. Going to give our guest a chance to respond to your comment there. And one of the things that people are talking about, what happens if Donald Trump runs a third term, and how is that affecting the government? Is he, like you say, the Republican boogeyman? Is that something that people need to fear?
No, we're joking when we say 4 more years, right? Because we're like, it's going so good, give us 4 more. But we understand that the president can't have another term. So nobody should be worried about that. I think that that's just a joke that's going too far. However, we have to understand that, again, we have to diversify our power. Right now, the Illinois delegation is made up of mostly Democrats. And so, for instance, my congressman, who I love dearly, Danny Davis, he had on the pen last night that said release the redacted files. I guess they were supposed to say Epstein. He's been in Congress for 29 years. So why you didn't get the files released? Why y'all playing these games? Why didn't you try to keep our houses when Barack Obama chose to bail out the banks? Right? We know that they gave us bogus loans. We know that they play the trick on us. So why did we get to be punished by them taking our houses? Why didn't you work harder for us? Why, when they were in front of the police station, why didn't you fly back to Washington immediately, stand in the well of Congress and scream, help, we've been invaded, my district needs help? They didn't do that, did they? Instead, they went out there to that ICE facility. All of the elected officials in the city, 50 of them, went and stood out there in Broadview to fight against ICE. That's what I'm saying. It's time to go because I love these people so much. Again, they raised me. Okay, LaShawn Ford, who is the front runner on the Democratic side. That's literally my big homie. Okay, me and his mama live on the same block. We text each other, good morning, how you doing? All of that. So I'm very cautious about how I speak about them because I tell people I grew up in the castle, so I know the secrets of the court, and I'm not here to put out the secrets of the court, but I am here to hold the court accountable. They are playing with us. Okay, these people got good sense. They know what's going on. They know, but they are more loyal to a party to buy yard signs for the upcoming election than they are to the people. We gotta go. We gotta go. I'm serious, y'all. I'm when I was on when I was on VON, I paid for my show myself. $550 a week for 3 years to get this message out to the people. That's why I drive a Nissan and not a Jag. Okay, and I say that to say that we have to give each other grace in this. Okay, because we didn't ask for this. We did not ask for this situation. So grant each other grace as we learn how to get away. But as we move away, don't argue, don't fight, don't fuss, don't tussle. Just put the facts out there, and those with high self-esteem are going to hold on to that and move on with you.
There you go. Put the facts out. Well, it's time for us to go, but we want to make sure we get all of our last comments. And of course, Beata said about that potato salad. She said, "Oh, potato salad with bacon."
Oh no, we don't eat no pork, but yes.
Yeah, see, smart mind. I ain't trying to talk about those dietary.
No, but I'm saying even with the pork, you gonna eat around it.
You know.
Yeah, I
clear
feed
mind.
you at the table.
There you go. And of course, Deborah says, vote, vote, vote. Absolutely. That's what it takes. Take responsibility for our government. Get involved, vote. Make sure you're registered. Have your ID. Don't argue when you get to the polls. Just be ready and vote. One last thing. Any websites or contact information you'd like our viewers to have?
So you can go to PRAE, PRAEFOR Congress.com, PRAE4Congress.com. That's where you can find me. I'm also very active on X. That's Chicago Red P. On X, Chicago Red P. I'm the founder and chair of Chicago Red Political Action Committee. Again, that's a whole different organization from what's happening out here. I think that other group, I know that other group is an LLC. We are a political action committee because we push policy, not performance. You can also find me on Facebook at PRAE4Congress, PRAE4Congress. Come join us. If you want to support the campaign, you can, but we need money to make it happen. I'm fighting against JB Pritzker's trust fund. Okay, so we are making this work, but so far we've done pretty well with nothing but a bullhorn and courage. From 2000 to 2024, we worked to take away 500,000 votes from the Democratic Party. So if I'm able to do all of this from my house, bring HUD here, get immigration reform, talk to the president, build a relationship, I'm doing that from the house. So imagine what I can do on the halls of Congress.
Well, all right. And is that correct on your Facebook page, PRAE for Congress? That's how it's spelled?
Yeah, it's 3 words though. So PRAE for Congress. But that PRAE for Congress, that's the website. So you can go PRAE4Congress.com and check out the platform as well.
All right. Fantastic. So we're going to do PRAE4Congress.com. And we want you all to listen and follow your heart on what makes sense, because one of the things that we must do is take responsibility for our choices. And if we make good choices, then we can see a better outcome in the future. So vote. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you sharing some facts. And if there's one thing we must choose to do is make decisions that are in our own best interests.
Yes, ma'am.
And may you have wonderful outcomes for your venture into Congress. And one last comment, Asana says negrophobic classic.
That's what we're going to start saying. Racism is dead. Negrophobia is up.
All right now. That's the last word. And we will see you tomorrow right here on the Female Solution. And until that time, we want you to continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareth. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.